More than 3,700 years ago, in the heart of ancient Mesopotamia, a great king etched his legacy not through conquests or monuments alone, but through words. Words carved in stone that would echo across time as one of the earliest and most comprehensive legal codes in human history. This was the Code of Hammurabi, issued by King Hammurabi of Babylon around 1754 BCE. Written in Akkadian cuneiform on a tall black basalt stele, the code contained 282 laws that governed nearly every aspect of Babylonian life, from trade and agriculture to family and criminal justice. But beyond its surface as a legal document, the Code of Hammurabi stands as a profound symbol of the rise of state authority, social order, and the idea that law should be a central pillar of civilization. The Code was not the first set of laws in the ancient world, but it was the most detailed and influential of its time. What made it groundbreaking was its clarity, permanence, and public nature. Laws were no longer the hidden tools of the elite or the priesthood. Instead, Hammurabi had them inscribed on a public monument for all to see, at least all who could read. This act signified a shift, the codification of justice, placing the king not just as a ruler by divine right, but as a shepherd of fairness and order. At the top of the stele, Hammurabi is depicted receiving the laws from Shamash, the Babylonian god of justice, emphasizing that these were not arbitrary rules, but divine decrees, handed down to be preserved and enforced by the state. The laws themselves reveal a great deal about Babylonian society. They were rooted in a principle now famously summed up as an eye for an eye, or lex talionis, the law of retaliation. Yet they also introduced important distinctions based on social class. For example, the penalties for injuring a noble were far more severe than for harming a commoner or a slave. This stratification shows us that justice in Babylon was not blind, but tied to the rigid hierarchies of its society. Still, the fact that laws existed and were written down created a predictable and structured legal system, which was a major advancement from earlier forms of arbitrary rule. The Code of Hammurabi also demonstrated a sophisticated understanding of contracts, liability, and economic regulations. It addressed issues such as interest rates, property disputes, inheritance, and the responsibilities of workers and builders, essential elements in managing an increasingly complex and urban society. In doing so, it laid an early foundation for civil law traditions that would influence legal systems for millennia. The concept of holding people accountable for their actions, whether a dishonest merchant, a negligent builder, or a disloyal wife, reflected an early form of legal accountability and reinforced the idea that order was essential for prosperity. One of the most important legacies of Hammurabi's code is the way it institutionalized the power of the written word in governance. In a world where oral tradition and arbitrary judgment had long dominated, Hammurabi's stone pillar symbolized the authority of law over the will of individuals, even over the king himself, who presented the code not as his invention, but as a divine trust. This notion would echo through history and inspire later legal codes, from the Roman 12 Tables to modern constitutional systems. Yet, for all its advances, the Code of Hammurabi also reminds us of the harshness and inequalities of ancient justice. Punishments were severe, ranging from mutilation to death, and the application of justice was often brutally literal. The same offense could carry dramatically different consequences depending on the social status of the accused and the victim. Still, the code reflects an early and earnest attempt to create order, protect property, and mediate human relationships in a rapidly growing society. In this sense, It represents one of the first large-scale experiments in structured governance and public law. Today, the Code of Hammurabi stands as a monumental achievement, not just as a legal document, but as a testament to the evolving relationship between power, morality, and society. It tells us that even in the ancient world, leaders grappled with the complexities of justice, responsibility, and the rule of law. As the carved stone stele now rests in the Louvre Museum in Paris, it serves as a powerful reminder that law is more than a set of rules. It is a reflection of the values, struggles, and aspirations of the people it governs.